Welcome back, fellow coding facilitators. Jared O'Leary here with BootUp. In this video, I want to talk about room setup. Now, many computer labs are set up like what you see here, where we have rows and usually facing like a screen, like somewhere up here. Now, this can be great for everybody's looking all in the same direction, and they can easily see what's on the screen for what's being shared. However, it's not very good for collaborating, as it can be difficult for coders to get through the different rows and whatnot. So if a coder right here wanted to talk with a coder that's way over here, it might be a little bit difficult for them. Now, also, if you are walking around in a room, like let's say you're walking up through here, as soon as you get up to the front of the room, you actually can't see any of the screens that are behind you. So all the way back here, you cannot see anything on there. So it's really good for presenting things, but it's not very good if you are at the front of the room, as you won't be able to see stuff, and it's not very good for collaborating. Now, another room setup, like a station setup, can be really good if you want to group. So for instance, you might want to say, okay, everybody who is going to work collaboratively, you can go over here into this group. Everybody who's going to work independently, you can go over into this group. And people who have questions and would like to get some help, go into this section that's over here. Now, it's good for communicating, as people who are on this side can look at people who are over on this side, and they can also collaborate with people next to them. But it's like the other one, it's also not great for being able to monitor screens. So if you're standing on this side of the room over here, you're going to be able to see half of the computers, but you won't be able to see the other half of the computers that are all facing this way. Now, another approach is to actually have long rows. So for instance, this was how my classroom was set up. Over on this side, we had a wall all the way along here, and the same thing over here. However, coders at any point could walk, and they could see people behind them, to the side of them, and they could go around and walk around the entire room, kind of like a oval race car track or something. Now, what's really great for this kind of setup is that there's a lot of collaboration that is able to occur because coders can walk around freely and see what other people are working on. Now, you can also, at any given point, see 75% of the screens that are in your room. So for instance, if I'm standing right here, I can see all the screens along here, all the ones over there, and all the ones over here. The only screens that you wouldn't be able to see if standing there would be the ones right there. So it's good for monitoring, just in case coders are doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, and great for collaboration. Now, the final setup, which is probably one of my favorite setups that I've seen, is you need a larger space for this. Typically, what you would have in the center of the room is a station for like unplugged lessons and resources and things like that, or like an I need help space where coders can go and get some extra assistance from each other or from yourself. And basically, each one of these rows will be facing towards a wall. So they'll be facing that way, they'll be facing this way, they'll be facing over here. So that's going to make it so that wherever you stand in your room, so for instance, if you're standing right here, you can see all of the screens just from any vantage point. So that's really good for monitoring, but it's also just really good because a coder can just get up and they can just walk and see a ton of projects and get a lot of peer-to-peer help by working with each other. So really good for collaboration, really good for looking at screens and whatnot, but not necessarily great for presenting. So for instance, if you had a screen that's up here, it can be a little bit of a pain, especially for the people who are facing the exact opposite direction, to look up there, especially if they're trying to copy code or something like that. So different ways that you can set up your room. None of them are more right or more wrong than others. Some of them make it easier for sharing and presenting. Some of them make it easier for you to monitor screens, and some of them make it much easier for coders to collaborate with each other. So set up your room depending on what your needs are and what would be most beneficial for your kids, rather than what's like easiest for IT.